OU grad students fight back. Police search for a missing Norman family, and a neighborhood existing since World War II could be in jeopardy. This is OU Nightly. The U.S. may be on the verge of its first major tax overhaul in decades.
That's right. The controversial Republican tax plan cleared the Senate Budget Committee yesterday, and the full Senate could vote as early as this week on the tax reform package endorsed by President Trump.
The Senate proposal reduces the corporate tax rate from 35% to 20%, and Republicans need at least 50 GOP senators on board to pass the proposal. Right now, 6 Senate Republicans remain uncommitted.
There are 2 sticking points. One, the Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill will hurt low-income families, while it benefits those earning more than $100,000 a year. The other problem is the national deficit. It's estimated that tax reform measure could increase the national debt by $1.4 trillion.
Both Oklahoma senators favor to vote the tax bill. James Lankford and Jim Imhoff are not among the uncommitted. Lankford says, "I want to see the good economic growth. I also want to make sure we're protecting future taxpayers." The Senate could hear a version of the bill as early as this week. Graduate students access across campus out of class this afternoon as part of a national protest against the GOP House tax reform bill. Nightly's Kenneth Adair is on the South Oval to tell us why.
I saw a lot of passion from almost 50 graduate students out here today as they were marching up and down the South Oval to protest the GOP tax reform bill that would drastically raise taxes on them. Earlier today, graduate students put the books aside and hit the Oval to protest. They expressed their frustrations with President Trump's tax reform bill. The tax plan calls for a tax on tuition waivers awarded to graduate students. Grad students would not only be taxed for graduate assistantships, but would face taxation on their tuition waivers, meaning the bill would slash $65 billion in tax benefits to higher education over the next 10 years. The students discussed the effect this bill could have on their lives on and off OU's campus.
Being able to survive, being able to live, be able to pay my rent, be able to pay my car note, or even just deciding whether or not to continue in school. If I am not going to be able to work because of the workload or my responsibilities here on campus, working for a professor, then how am I going to be able to make enough money to cover what I'll lose after paying those taxes?
Now, to be clear, this reform is only the House version of the bill. If the Senate's version passes, the proposed tax on graduate income might not survive the next bill. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Kenneth. Norman police need help finding a mother and her 2 children who were last seen in August. 59-year-old Rita Bump and her 2 children, 5-year-old Riley and 2-year-old Stormy, were last seen in their home in Norman. Investigators believe the family is traveling in a black 2013 Honda Accord with Oklahoma license plate 397KXL or GGP 981. Anyone with information is asked to contact Detective Derek Hopkins at 405-366-5232.
Oklahoma's prison director wants state lawmakers to triple the agency's budget despite the current budget shortfall and the possibility of a larger shortfall next year. Corrections Director Joe Albaugh is asking for $1.53 billion next year. This will include $813 million for security prisons, $107 million for prison repairs, and $10 million for across-the-board raises.
All right, Abby, it is feeling great outside. Marisa,
it certainly is.
How long is this weather going to stick around?
Well, guys, we did actually have a little bit of rain last night and not very much at all. It's been a very, very dry November this year, and we see that rain we were supposed to have really was not even anything here in Norman, but the cold front we had last night did drop our temperatures. It is 9 degrees cooler here than it was yesterday, and you can see about where the front was yesterday here in this temperature gradient, 21 degrees cooler in McAllister than it was yesterday. But some things are going to change. We're going to have a weekend warm-up. It might be cooling down again. And then is rain on its way? I'll let you know coming up next. Back to you guys.
And once again, Twitter posts put the president in the hot seat. Sammy Steele joins us now in the News Center with more. Sammy?
That's right, Shea and Abby. Early this morning, President Trump retweeted 3 videos from a far-right British account with anti-Muslim content. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders defended the president's decision to retweet the videos after he was blasted by critics.
Look, I think it's important to talk about national security and national security threats. Whether it's a real video, the threat is real, and that is what the president is talking about. That's what the president is focused on, is dealing with those real threats, and those are real no matter how you look at it.
Sanders says the president wanted to start a conversation about border security and immigration. Yesterday, North Korea launched its most advanced missile yet. The country fired off an intercontinental ballistic missile named Hwasong-15. Experts say it's able to reach the entire U.S. mainland. It's gone higher than any previous launch. This was North Korea's first launch since September. President Trump tweeted that he spoke with China's president and says the situation will be handled. The White House said that Trump emphasized the need for China to promote the denuclearization of North Korea. And a mainstay on the popular NBC Today show for more than 2 decades has been fired following allegations of inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. Matt Lauer is the latest in the string of journalists fired for sexual misconduct. Savannah Guthrie, his former co-host, announced the news this morning, saying she is heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story. Lauer was informed of the network's decision late Tuesday night before he went to bed, but has yet to comment. And Shea, American Airlines will definitely not have the happiest of holidays due to a scheduling glitch that allowed pilots to take vacation at the same time. The glitch has left thousands of flights next month without pilots assigned to them. But the largest U.S. airline is now offering bonuses for pilots to work those dates.
All right, thanks, Sammy. And still ahead on OU Nightly, a historic neighborhood might be history.
Plus, more on fluctuating temperatures.
Welcome back to OU Nightly.
Sydney Forsee joins us now with details on these odd temperatures.
Yes, you guys, well, we're dead in the middle of fall, but we are still getting temperatures warm enough to sweat in our jackets and shed them. OU Nightly Scott Haas is here with more on the unusually warm season.
As we get closer and closer to the winter break, you'd expect the temperatures to start falling in response, right? However, that's no longer the case, and honestly hasn't been these last few autumns.
I haven't had to pull out any of my winter coats. I've been able to keep all my exercise outside still, which is weird because it's about to be December 1st, so it's a little odd for me. So I'm still outside doing stuff.
The temperatures have stayed in the mild 60s and even 70s, affecting the foliage on the trees.
A couple things I've noticed, a lot of the trees haven't really had a huge leaf drop yet. I mean, some of them have turned colors and turned brown, just as the daylight decreases. And so the pigments in the leaves change, but we haven't had that big freeze where you see the leaves freeze and then just fall off the trees.
Even as we begin to head into December, these temperatures are expected to stick around a little while longer. What exactly does this mean for the plant life and vegetation around the state?
So we could end up in a flash drought situation. If that happens, we're going to have to really watch it going into the spring, because if the soil conditions are really dry here in the spring, what we end up with is all kinds of agricultural problems, and it also impacts the storm season, because if you don't have the local generation of water vapor, the chance of having storms boiling up becomes lower and lower.
According to Richmond, the cause of this warm weather is La Nina, which impacts normal weather patterns and can even cause droughts. Hopefully, this won't be for long, because I, for one, am tired of breaking a sweat on the way to class. Scott Haas, OU Nightly.
Well, you know what they say, if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait a minute and it will probably change. And in other news, a Formula E driver climbed behind the wheel for a speed test against a cheetah in South Africa. The film was shot in Western Cape, was released in advance of this season's Formula E curtain raiser in Hong Kong on December 2nd. Cheetahs and other wildlife are directly at risk due to climate change. Formula E racing is accelerating the development of electric-powered vehicles. vehicles to help reduce CO2 emissions and raise conservation awareness. Well, you guys, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of liking this warm weather right now, but hopefully we can have a white Christmas in a few weeks.
I know I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
I am too. I hope it snows. Thank you so much, Sydney.
Thank you, guys.
Last night marked President Boren's last annual holiday lighting celebration as OU's president. Boren started the lighting of the tree and menorah experience as a way to encourage people of all faiths to celebrate each other's traditions as well as their own.
As part of my family, in a very personal sense in this holiday season. So happy holidays to all of you, and we're very glad that you're here tonight. Let's continue to build that sense of family. Thank you very much.
The event had 3 speakers of different religious backgrounds and strived to unite people.
Hidden in the shadows of Headington Hall is a historic neighborhood holding land OU may need in the future. Kyle Payne is live with more on the plan for Hardy Rucker.
I'm standing near historic Hardy Rucker neighborhood, home to Madison Elementary School and home to thousands of OU students and families since World War II. Over the past decade or so, OU's Board of Regents has slowly purchased up properties here, and now the rest of the neighborhood is worried about the future of their homes. Tucked behind OU's newest addition lies the Hardy Rucker neighborhood, one of Norman's most vital neighborhoods for low-income students and families, but also a vital piece of OU's future expansion.
More than that, or one room in one of these new apartments around campus is more than a whole house that's in this neighborhood. And so to be able to be that close to campus and have that much affordability is a huge asset that I think would be a really bad thing if we lose it, you know.
Stephen Holman is Ward 7 City Councilman. With Ward 7 in Hardy Rucker, he knows firsthand about the homeowners' concerns. The biggest concern from his district is the future of Madison Elementary. As a former resident of the neighborhood, he knows why Madison is so important.
Places like Madison is a huge asset to the community, the cultural education that goes on there.
For OU, the purchasing of properties is thought out and voluntary, but the trend of growth in that direction brings into question what's next.
Time to build anything on that land. It's the acquisitions in that area are strategic purchases the university made with a vision towards the future.
With nearly a dozen properties purchased already, the neighborhood's growth is put on hold until OU makes its next move. Now, Epting told me today that purchasing of properties is on hold, but with OU always growing and changing, who knows how long that will last. That's it from Hardy Rucker. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And still ahead on OU Nightly, cop, drop, and roll.
And Marisa has more with weather.
That's right, guys. It's beautiful outside right now, and I'll let you know how long this is going to continue. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We have a live look outside right now at the clock tower right outside the Bazell Memorial Library. It is a beautiful 57 degrees right now, hardly any clouds outside, and a very low dew point at 44 degrees. And these dew points are low pretty much everywhere. We had that system come through yesterday and take a lot of the moisture off to the east. So we've had these dry conditions making it very, very comfortable for this time of year. And that's going to continue tonight. We have 50 degrees at 8 p.m. and these winds are variable tonight, moving around a lot, and that's because we're going to have a cold front that's going to move through. This is the system that we had last night that brought a little bit of rain to Oklahoma, and this is the cold front that is going to come through and hit us very early in the morning, about 2 a.m., and it's not really going to affect our temperatures very much, but it is going to impact our winds. So looking ahead to tomorrow, those winds in the morning are going to be north 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that 41 degrees is going to be even more chilly with those blustery northern winds. And it'll heat up to about 58 by 4 p.m. Very little cloud cover. So besides those northerly winds, it's going to be pretty comfortable. And this is going to continue throughout most of the state. 58 degrees here in Norman, so that's relatively normal for this time of year. But that is going to change going into the weekend. Friday, it's going to warm up to 60 degrees with those southerly winds coming back for us. And then it is going to warm up. Saturday, 65 and even 70 on Sunday. That is, however, going to change going into Monday. So those unseasonably warm temperatures they were talking about earlier, that is going to occur this weekend, but maybe at least we are going to get to enjoy 70 degrees in December here in Oklahoma.
That's crazy, but I'm excited for the warm weather. I love warm weather.
Thanks, Marissa. And AT&T is calling the Sooners back to Texas.
Yeah, that's right, Abby. The Sooners are headed down to Jerry World for a rematch with TCU. I'll tell you how they're preparing for the Big 12 title game. And last night, the King got dethroned out. I'll have more on that because sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Last night, the second and last playoff rankings came out after a weekend where the top two teams were both upset. Defending national champions Clemson find themselves as the new #1 team. OU comes in at #3, but the headline is Auburn. They have beaten the #1 team 2 of the last 3 weeks. They leapfrog OU and come in at #2. There's only one undefeated Power 5 team left. That's Wisconsin. They are at #4. And SEC powerhouses Alabama and Georgia round out the top 6. Speaking of those Sooners, they have arguably their biggest game of the season this Saturday against the Horned Frogs. A third straight Big 12 title is on the line, and so are their playoff chances. Win and they're in, but lose and they might be out. When these teams played just a few weeks ago, Baker and the boys lit up that TCU defense, scoring all 38 of their points in the first half. As many know, it's hard to beat a good team once in a season, and it's even harder to beat them twice. But it's clear Lincoln Riley has his guys ready to go.
You know, this is it. You know, we're riding on this. This is the Big 12 championship. This is exactly what we, where we want it to be. This is one of our goals. So, I mean, this is, the next step. We're not thinking about anything else. We're not thinking about breaking or anything like that. We're thinking about going as hard as we can to go get this Big 12 title.
In other Sooner sports, the women's basketball team took a tough loss last night on the road against Arkansas Little Rock. OU struggled to score all game long, shooting just under 38% from the field in the 68-56 loss. The Sooners do have a chance to redeem themselves Sunday at the LNC. They take on the chomping Florida Gators in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Let's stick to the hardwood. The OKC Thunder finish off their road trip tonight against the Orlando Magic. Since their huge win against Golden State last week, they've lost back-to-back games to the Pistons and the Mavericks. But they're hoping to bounce back against an Orlando team that has dropped 9 games in a row. After tonight, they head back to the Peak to open the month of December with a 3-game homestand. And last night, LeBron James showed that even the best can lose their cool. After not getting a foul call in the third quarter, the King went off on the ref and got thrown out of the game. That was LeBron's first ejection after 1,082 career games. Tony Parker and Pau Gasol are the only active members who have more games played without getting tossed. Hardly anyone would have thought the Giants would be the worst team in the Big Apple this season, and yesterday they took that reputation a step further as they decided to bench franchise QB Eli Manning for this weekend's game. The two-time Super Bowl champ has started the last 210 games for the G-Man, but on Sunday, Geno Smith will get the start. Now, I thought levitation was completely impossible until I saw this video. Zay Jones pushes himself up Matrix style after missing the catch, but that really doesn't matter. I'm telling you, I've watched this video about 30 times. I have no idea how he does it until now, guys. I thought about this long and hard, and I've come up with the theory. Inside the gloves, he has these Iron Man rockets, okay? And whenever he pushes up against the ground, it turns on. It's like physics. Like if you look at his arms, he's not really that big of a guy. There's no way he naturally pushed himself up.
Seems a little extra, but we'll go with that.
Just
Sam.
think about it. Just think about it.
I'm definitely impressed.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
And still to come on OU Nightly, a cop has a close call.
I'm Amina Switzer at the OU Nightly Update Desk. A little over an hour ago, the House of Representatives approved a bipartisan measure requiring lawmakers and staff to take annual anti-harassment training. The measure comes after the outbreak of sexual misconduct allegations against lawmakers. That's all for now. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Amina. A New Jersey police officer survived a very close call. While investigating a vehicle accident, another vehicle sped by, almost hitting the officer. He escaped unharmed by rolling in front of his police cruiser. The driver was then later pulled over and issued a citation. Now, I think he deserves a little more than a citation for that, but we'll let it go. Marissa, what's the weather fact of the day?
Well, it's going to be warm here in Oklahoma, but I know some people are itching for snow, and actually this day in history, there was 34 inches of snow down in New Mexico, so that was a record breaker. So if you've got snow on the brain, just think about this
Next
day in
guy.
1975.
Well, I definitely wish it was back then because I'm ready for some snow.
Me
Well,
both.
thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night live at 4:30. Good night.